That's what it was.
We are going to bring prosperity back to Johnstown. We're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back. Your community helped build this country, one of the great places on earth. The iron and steel forged in your mills formed the backbone of our nation. You were the leading steel producer in the United States. Did you know that? In 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you're going to look back at this rally for the rest of your life. You're going to remember this day. This is a movement like has never taken place in our country before. This is the town that people flock to from around the world to make their American dreams come true. So true.
When I was a kid, we never swam in this, but my father-in-law tells me stories when there was sewage going in there, and I've got to laugh every time I tell this story because he said he'd swim in there and pop up with a turd on his head. Whether that was true or not, it's a great story. It's a great story.
I'm not done talking yet here.
Sorry.
No, well, ask him the question. It's not a
I'm trying to
commentary.
answer his question.
Well, he's not. Just ask him the question, sir, please.
For the
I also
record,
have
wait,
the
excuse
ability.
Me, Mr. Mayor,
I'm
can
also
I talk?
telling you.
Point of order.
If you
If I
finish
could
your
talk without being
finish your
interrupted,
comments,
please.
We're
Point of
repeating
order. If I
ourselves.
could talk without
Point of
being
order, repeat.
interrupted, please. I'm a member of council. I have the right to speak without being interrupted.
And get to the point.
One of the things that we have to work with and against sometimes is many of the lifetime or longtime natives of Johnstown are still living in the past. They really don't want to give it up.
Other people were allowed to speak and I'm not.
No, there's two places to sign.
Two places to sign up. I signed here and I went to City Hall.
But it doesn't appear here, so how would anybody, any resident or anybody in the public know what's actually going on here in the city? You would think that you could just ask a question and get an answer, but that is not the case here. It's like trying to pull teeth if a child gets injured over there.
No trespassing signs have been posted and the fence is being
If I could finish
reinforced.
talking without being interrupted here, please.
Well, he's
It's
answering
a
the question.
safety hazard.
I don't think we need all this drama.
Okay, anything else?
Yes, a couple more things here. I know in my heart what I feel I'm doing is right, whether it's favorable with the other members of council or not.
Who I was standing? You turned me down?
I'm not turning you down. Meeting's adjourned. I'll talk to you now. What do you? Meeting's adjourned.
What do you think I was
already
doing here?
spoke. I have no clue. You were done. The meeting's
I
adjourned.
raised my hand. I got up when he got up.
You had no right to speak after that.
I'm just not allowed to speak.
You're speaking to the camera now.
He doesn't
This
want to
young
hear.
man, this young man,
The
this
mayor
young man
doesn't want to hear from me.
speak to the young man. He'll hear you out.
The mayor doesn't want to hear from me.
Tell him exactly how you feel.
He's tired of listening to what I have to say.
I think the story of Johnstown's a reflection, very much so, of American history in terms of its transformation from a canal town to industrial town to what comes next. And I think that's the interesting question. When you're not a steel town anymore, then what are you? The city at one time had 60,000 residents, and now it has a little over 20. Even when the mills sort of started to shut down and everything, Johnstown was still noted as the safest city in the country. I mean, the crime rate was always so low. This was just home. You know, you knew the streets, you knew the neighborhoods, you knew who you were, what neighborhood you were from, what neighborhood the other kids were from. It was home. It was your world.
I always say I had the best childhood ever. You know, I grew up in a housing community. And so, you know, when we played baseball, we had 9-on-9 when we played baseball. Kids my age, and you know, we had to wait for the baseball field to be cleared from the older kids so we could play. There's a lot of people in our community that were coal miners and steel workers and their families, and that's all they knew. And you know, if they didn't get out of that, I don't want to say a rut, but if they didn't change occupations, then it went dramatically downhill. You know, most of these people are just getting by, paycheck to paycheck. Our community is no different than any other community in the country. We have drugs in the community, always had drugs in the community. They're just more lethal now.
Have a seat.
Hey, how are you?
Good. You're here for?
Exchange. We
Okay,
came
doke.
in to
Okay.
get some.
Just like I tell you, every time you come in, we care about you. And this is more than just picking up supplies.
I know.
I believe last year there were 140 overdose deaths. The one death in March was my niece. So it strikes close to home for us. But you know, when you use needles, about the other dangers.
Yeah.
We recognize that if we are truly going to help them, we have to meet them where they are. We have to meet them at their most darkest time and provide them with whatever we can to reduce their risk to harm. And part of that is clean needles. So have you been harassed because we gave you needles?
Yeah. By the Johnstown police.
What did they do?
They found a pack that wasn't open, and they kept asking me where I got them, and I wouldn't tell them. Then they were trying to say they were going to charge me and take me to jail.
It seems like that the more it goes on, we keep encountering the same people. Primarily right now we're dealing with heroin. On an average shift in the evening, we'll go on 5 or 6 overdoses in a shift. I could give you an example of people that in our community that have been overdosed and brought back by police Narcan 7 times. 7 times. I don't know if we're doing the right thing anymore.
So what? Give it to them again and again and again, because what price is a life? What price is a life? So maybe after the 7th time, they'll say to you, I want to recover. I want, you know, maybe that's their wake-up call. So why shouldn't we help? I have been told, well, you know, you're issuing drug paraphernalia and we could arrest you. And my response is, you know what? Go ahead and arrest this gray-haired old lady for doing right by people who need help. Go ahead, put me in jail. Because I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Okay, I found some hygiene kits, I found the different size needles, and I found the containers. Now, I know you remember, but I'm going to go through this with you again because it's just so important. Because this will save lives. There's 2 units of it here.
Okay.
Sometimes folks need an extra dose. So that when they go down, have someone call 911. And then I'm going to show you again, okay? And it's really easy to use.
You are ready to use. Pull off red safety guard. To inject, place black end against outer thigh.
Right through the clothes.
The clothes I was gonna ask.
Okay, right through the clothes.
Right.
Hold her down.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Injection complete.
It's done. Everybody has a spark and a gift and a skill and an ability. Johnstown's real people. And I do have dreams, okay?
The area we're in right now, every Tuesday and Thursday, women knew not to put their clothes out because there'd be a red dust that would be layered on your porch, on your car, and of course if they did the clothes. This is a very ethnic area throughout Johnstown, to say the least. This is the Greek Catholic Church. Every block here basically had a church, different ethnic background. All the other ones were Roman Catholic down through here. This is Greek Orthodox, Greek Catholic. The 5 parishes that were down here now have been condensed into one. We're in luck.
You have to remember too, all of these parishes were really built by the immigrants.
In the early days, a lot of the foreigners that came to this country were housed by parishioners, and what they did was when they got them jobs, they also paid a portion of their salary and their wages to build the churches and the bridges that we have here. So you can see why a lot of the early parishioners, it's very hard to give up what they built, basically. We have this because of them, not because of me, but it was a generation before me. Time of the floods that I was here in '77, these churches were all turned into safety havens for us. The pews were taken out of here, food and clothing were brought in here. So these were kind of our lives that we grew up with. We've really grown up with a strong sense of faith in Johnstown. I think we're not losing that, but I would like to see us with our younger generation become more involved.
Hi, I'm Ayana Sellers. I graduated from Greater Johnstown High School.
My name is Olivia Ravick. I graduated from Greater Johnstown High School in 2016.
In the fall, I'll be attending University of Pittsburgh main campus to major in computer engineering.
I'll be going to Robert Morris to study political science.
These are our youth philanthropy interns. And what we do is we take these recent high school graduates who have a desire to make a difference in the community, teach them about some things going on in the community, but really more than anything, we want their perspective. We want their youth perspective on what this community needs.
The topic that we're looking at is hidden homelessness. There is an incredibly large amount of homelessness within the area. There's a big problem, but none of us knew about it.
If they were given unlimited resources, how would they go about making those changes? What would keep them here? What would bring interest to them? What do they see as the main concerns?
We were thinking of doing a topic on the importance of arts in the rural community.
I don't think that you can stand still in this world. You're either moving ahead or you're falling behind. And if we choose to stand still and we become, at best, sort of ossified, at worst, we begin to fall apart. Well, that's not acceptable. We've worked on everything from stabilizing some old industrial buildings. We've supported, everything from turning an old, essentially was a stable at one time, into an working arts studio. We've worked to help to renovate what essentially was a junkyard at one time into a memorial garden. So the issue is, how do you turn negatives into positives? What do you have to get rid of? What can be salvaged? How do you move forward?
Our politicians failed the workers of Johnstown and gave your jobs to foreign countries and foreign producers. We got the poverty, they got the factories, the jobs, and the wealth. Now, more than 1 in 3 people in this magical city are living in poverty. Think of it, you politicians. These are stupid people. Believe me, stupid people.
Here's what I think happens. I think that you want to do a story in the Rust Belt, you want to do a story about Trump country, you want to do a story, name it, you can easily Google, find, here's a shrinking city, let's go there, we'll get the story. They come in, they spend an hour and a half here or whatever, get the story they want, they leave. They're not interested. They weren't really interested in what I had to say that was positive. They were looking to confirm the story they came to get. And the fact that we can have, sort of constructive, thoughtful lives, that we can be interested in the world around us, that we can have a worldview, I don't think they think we can do that. It's really strange to me. And I have a problem with that. I just don't think it's fair.
I always like the line, create the music you wish exists in the world. I really don't try to set out with a goal or a purpose of doing this or doing with that, whatever channels out of you. You make music that you enjoy playing and others enjoy listening to. I guess that's the trick of it. I always had various part-time jobs to pay the rent and pay the bills, but I mean, I always play guitar every day, at least if I could. You're in the middle of those mountains and the river's there and the road's there and then the railroad tracks are over there and you look up and it's just green hills. It's, you know. My father spent his entire life in the steel mill and being there day, night. And it's ugly and it's dirty and that's inspiring as well. Blues are definitely an outlet for that rejuvenation or reincarnation, you know, going to your deepest all-time low and then rising back out of it. That's what that music's about. Yeah, I kind of like Johnstown. Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Done. You just like the one part right there, just to point real quick. That's a spill. Either they like you or they don't. Well, it was great. We had our Thunder in the Valley parade, and I had only one person yell out "asshole." So that's pretty good with a couple thousand people. The spillway comes from the Hingston Dam.